Hey, Martin Gresco here, and this is part 3 of Your Mama Don't Dance and Your Daddy Don't Rock and Roll. Today we're going to discuss a lick that happens at the end of the first chorus, and in so doing we'll talk about chords and chord inversions. So let's get started. In order to teach you this lick, I'm going to show you how I process my licks. And I do this for everything I play, actually. I think of how the notes fit within a chord or a scale. And that's a much easier way to approach this than trying to think about it one note after the other. Think about it. When you read, you don't read one letter after the other. You're reading one word after the other, and even in blocks of words, such as sentences. So I think that music is the same way, or at least for me, that's how I've always approached it, and it's made it fairly easy for me to learn licks. So the very first lick I'm going to teach you, it comes at the end of the first chorus. And if you'll learn a couple of chords, and then you'll break those chords up, just do what's called an arpeggio or a broken chord, then that's the basis for this lick. So here's a quick review of chords that we touched on in video 1 and in video 2 as well. I'm going to build a C major chord. So we start with C on the bottom. Then we take an E and a G. That's the first note and the third note and the fifth note of the C major scale. That chord is said to be in root position because the root, which is C, is on the bottom. But you could play that chord in first inversion where you put the E on the bottom. The C is now at the top. You could also play that chord in second inversion. The G is on the bottom. And then you have C and E. So root, first inversion, second inversion. Now I'm talking about inversions because that's where we'll get into this lick. We're using a dominant seventh chord to play Your Mama Don't Dance. All right, so if we build a dominant seventh chord on C, we have C, E, G, and a B flat. B is the seventh note of the scale, but we flat it to make it a dominant seventh, which is typically what you would use in rock and blues. All right. Now, you could also do inversions with that. So you have root, you have a first inversion, a second inversion, and even a third inversion because this chord has 4 notes, not 3. So this is a triad. This is not because it has more than 3 notes. All right. Now, it's beyond the scope of this video to go much further into the theory of chords and inversions, but I wanted you to see that because we're going to start now with the lick. And so the first part of the lick is an F dominant seventh chord in the second inversion. What did I just say? Okay, F dominant seventh chord, we start on F, take an A C, and then an E flat. That's the dominant seventh. And I said second inversion, so here's the root, first inversion, second inversion. All right, so the lick is going to start with this second inversion, F seventh chord, only we're going to break it up. So we're going to start at the bottom, C, and then we're going to come to the top and come back down to the bottom. C, A, F, E flat, C. The next part of the lick is going to be an F ninth chord. A ninth chord is, well, let's build it. An F, an A C. There's our seventh, 8, 9. That is an F ninth chord. Now, you'll notice there are 5 notes. When you play chords of more than a seventh, like a ninth or an 11th or a 13th chord, you play the top 4 notes of the chord generally, and so that's what we will do. That's your F9 chord. We start at the bottom like we did on the other chord, play the A, the G, E flat, C, only this time we're not going to come back and hit the A, we're going to hit the G below the A. When we did the first lick, we came back to the C. This time we're going to play A, G, E flat, C, G. Now, I could muddy the waters, but I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there anyway, just because for some of you it may actually be helpful. I said this was an F 7th chord, and I think of this as an F 9th chord. You could just use the A and think of that as a transition note, and then the next chord would be a C minor. Does that make sense? Start with the A, now you have a C minor chord. So together that sounds like this. I'm going to do it slowly. A little bit faster. All right, so on beat 2, you're going to have, and yes, that's 5 notes on one beat. That's what makes this lick a little complicated. All right, and then on beat 3, you're going to have those 5 notes. So you'll have a rest on beat 1, and then you will have, and then on beat 4, you're going to have an F and a D together, and then you're going to have an E flat. And then on beat 1 of the next measure, you have an E and a C. I'll also go ahead and confess right now that when I'm playing this lick up to speed, very often I leave the D out. So when I'm playing, I'll just leave the D out altogether. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I can be quite sloppy when I play, admittedly. So I'm going to make an executive decision. I say leave the D out for now, unless you really want the challenge. That's much easier, and that rolls off the fingers. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I am going to pull up Logic Pro, and I've created just a 4-measure little soundtrack with just a very simplified bass and drum part, so that you can hear this lick up to speed. And what you hear right now and what you see is what you're going to get. I'm not going to do a lot of editing, so if I play it and it's sloppy, you can go ahead and judge me. It's okay. Let's do it again. All right, what I'd like to do right now, and this might be somewhat of a challenge, but I'd like to slow that down, way down, so that you can actually maybe get, I don't know, a more microscopic look at what's going on here. All right, so we're going to slow that down. I was at 147 on the beats per minute. Now I am at 90. Let's try it and see what happens. This is in real time, people. Okay, what I'd like to do right now is just to show you a cheat. All right, this is a little hack for that lick. The hardest part, at least for me, in playing this lick is playing those 5-note, I guess I used the word triplet, although that means 3, but the quintuplet maybe. So when you're playing, if you want to simplify that and just use 4/16, which fit right within just the very symmetrical, we'll start on the C as we did before, but then you're just going to take a D minor chord, which is D, F, A, and we're going to add the A at the bottom, and we're going to start at the top, and then move it down and play a C chord with the G at the bottom, and we're going to play that one from the top. So you have and then this part is the same. All right, so I'm going to go back and pull up Logic Pro, and we're going to play that again using the 16th notes. And you might want to start out that way because I think that's an easier feel with the 16th notes. And as I play it, you'll discover that it actually sounds pretty much like the other one. I don't think most people would ever hear the difference, actually. Let's do that one again. Try to get them right. One more time.